Canto 9, Virgil's dismay, the Furies, Medusa, the heavenly messenger, the gate opened, sixth circle, the heretics. The color that cowardice brought out on my face, seeing my leader turned back, caused him more quickly to master his own new pallor. He stood still, attentive, like one who listens, for his glance could not go far through the black air and the thick fog. Still, we must win the fight, he began. If not, such a one was offered to us. Oh, how long it seems to me until someone arrives. I saw well how he covered up his beginning with what came next, words different from the first. But nonetheless his speech made me afraid, for I drew from his truncated words a meaning worse than perhaps they held. Into this depth of the sad pit does anyone from the first level ever come? Of those whose only punishment is to have hope cut off? Such was my question, and rarely does it happen, he replied, that any of us makes the journey I am taking. It is true that I have been down here once before, conjured by that harsh Erichtho, who called souls back to their bodies. My flesh had been naked of me only a little while, when she made me enter those walls, to bring up a spirit from the circle of Judas. That is the lowest place and the darkest and the farthest from the sky that turns all things. Well do I know the way, therefore be free of care. This swamp that breathes forth the great stench girds the grieving city all about, where now we cannot enter without wrath. And he said more, but I do not remember it, for my eyes had made me all intent on the high tower with its glowing summit, where suddenly, in an instant, stood up three furies of hell, stained with blood, who had the limbs and gestures of women, and were girt with bright green water snakes. Little asps and horned serpents they had for hair, which wound about their fierce temples. And he, who well knew the maidservants of the Queen of Eternal Weeping, "Look," he told me, "at the ferocious Erinyes. This is Megara on the left. She who weeps on the right there is Alecto. Tisiphone is in the middle," and he fell silent. With her nails each was tearing at her breast. They beat themselves with their palms and shrieked so loudly that for fear I drew closer to the poet. "Let Medusa come, so we will turn him to concrete," they were all saying, looking down. "We did ill in not avenging on Theseus his attack. Turn around and keep your eyes closed, for if the Gorgon appears and you should see her, there would never be any going back up." So spoke my master, and he himself turned me, and he did not stop with my hands, but closed me up with his own as well. O you who have sound intellects, gaze on the teaching that is hidden beneath the veil of the strange verses. And already, over across the turbid waves, came the crashing of a fearful sound, at which both the banks were shaking, not otherwise than of a wind made impetuous by conflicting heats, that strikes the wood, and without any resistance shatters the branches, beats them down, and carries them away. Full of dust it goes proudly on, and makes the beasts and shepherds flee. He loosed my eyes and said, "Now direct your beam of sight out over that ancient foam, there where the smoke is darkest, like frogs before the enemy's snake, who scatter themselves through the water until each huddles on the bottom. So I saw more than 1,000 shattered souls fleeing before one who was walking across sticks with dry feet. From his face he was moving that greasy air, waving his left hand before him frequently, and only of that discomfort did he seem weary. Well did I perceive that he was sent from heaven, and I turned to my master, who made a sign that I should stand still, and bowed to him. Ah, how full of disdain he seemed to me! He came to the gate, and with a little wand he opened it, for nothing held it. "O driven forth from heaven, despised people," he began on the horrid threshold, "how is this overweening nursed in you? Why do you kick back against that will whose ends can never be cut short, and which has many times increased your suffering? What is the good of butting against fate? Your Cerberus, if you remember, still has his chin and gullet stripped because of it." Then he turned back along the filthy way and said, not a word to us. He had the look of a man whom other cares urge and gnaw than his who stands before him. And we directed our feet toward the city, unafraid after the holy words. We entered in without any battle, and I, in my desire to examine the conditions enclosed by such a fortress, as soon as I was inside, send my eye around, and I see on every hand a broad plain, full of grief and harsh torments. As at Arles, where the Rhone makes its delta, as at Pola, near the Carnaro that encloses Italy and bathes its boundaries, tombs variegate the place, so they did here on every side, except that the manner was more bitter. For among the tombs flames were scattered, by which they were so entirely fired that no art asks for iron that is hotter. All their covers were lifted, and from them came forth laments so grievous that they surely seemed those of wretches suffering within. And I, Master, who are the people buried within these arks, who make themselves heard with anguished sighs? And he to me, Here are the chiefs of heresies with their followers, of every sect, and much more than you believe are the tombs laden. Like with like is buried here, and the monuments are more and less hot. And when he had turned to the right, we passed between the torments and the high battlements.